What's going on, guys? I hope all is well. I wanted to talk a few moments about inflation and the Federal Reserve. Right now, we have inflation that is at 40-year highs. Last month, when we had the last reading of the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, inflation was over 9%, meaning at that point in time, prices were 9% higher than they were the previous year at the same time. And this is pretty huge. Everyone is feeling it, whether you are wealthy or whether you are, average working person, you are feeling it. And obviously the average working person is feeling it more than the wealthy. You are seeing it everywhere. You're seeing it at the stores. You're seeing it with your basic items at the stores, milk, the food, everywhere. Food is also at an all-time high as well. You're seeing it at the gas stations. You're seeing it at the pump. And it's been cooling down lately, but it's still elevated than it has been as well. And you're seeing it also with rents and housing as well. Rents are at, all-time highs, and it's crazy, especially sort of places like California and New York, where rents are just through the roof. And also you're seeing it in the housing prices as well, when you're seeing like housing prices have came down just a tad bit, but mortgages and housing is still elevated. And right now, people are hurt right now. And right now, the Federal Reserve, they are trying to, for a lack of a better term, break the economy, essentially. And what that means is right now they are in the process of quantitative tightening. When we first had the pandemic back in 2020, they did quantitative easing, meaning they made interest rates low. They made interest rates basically at 0%. And they did that in order to spur the economy, to make everyone spend, to make everyone want to borrow money to be able to, to get the economy going, because they didn't want the economy to crash, essentially. And when that happens, that caused inflation. That caused or placed a lot of money in the system where people were spending, was spending, going out shopping, doing everything. And that's what's the main cause of the inflation that we have now. And right now, the Federal Reserve is in the process of doing quantitative tightening. And that means they're trying to take money out the system. They are in the process of raising interest rates now. So doing quantitative easing, it was at 0%. Quantitative tightening, they're in the process of getting those rates back up. And the reason being, they want to slow down the economy. They want to slow it down to where people will, stop spending. They want to slow it down to where people will slow down on borrowing money, essentially. Because when it costs more to borrow money with higher interest rates, people don't borrow money as much because it's more expensive, essentially. So right now, they're in the process of quantitative tightening. And the big thing is how they're doing it, because right now inflation is so elevated. A lot of people think that they're going to have to really raise interest rates, quickly and hard, essentially. And when you do that, sometimes that can cause a recession, essentially. And their goal is to try to do a soft landing. And that means do it or raise interest rates in a way to where there's not a recession. But we don't know what's going to happen, though. Some people think we won't have a recession. Some people think with the Federal Reserve raising rates so rapidly, it's going to cause a recession, maybe in late 2022, maybe in 2023. So we will see. But I would say right now, as far as the stock market, usually when you have the raising of interest rates, usually the stock market is hit hard, or the stock market doesn't perform as well because companies have lower profits, essentially because people are not spending as much because of the rising of the interest rates, and also it costs those companies more money to it's more costly to borrow money for those companies as well with the raising of those interest rates. So usually when you are in a rising interest rates environment, the stock market does not perform well. You have lower earnings per share. So the market can be, I'm thinking that the market will be kind of volatile over the past months because I don't see a positive catalyst as of right now. Only positive catalyst I can see is if we have some better CPI numbers, some better inflation numbers where it's rising down. But right now, with these rising interest rates, I expect the stock market to kind of be flat, and I expect maybe with the market I expect you're gonna have maybe some runs, maybe like some small bull runs essentially. But I do expect the market to be kind of volatile over these next months as we have more raising of the interest rates, and also as we get more earnings numbers as well. But I just don't expect the earnings to be on par as it was, for example, last year or in 2020 when we had those lower interest rates, because that's when everyone was spending money, and that's when earnings were elevated. But now with the quantitative tightening, I just don't see the earnings being as good as they were, and that's why I don't see the stock market kind of moving to a higher level as of right now, because I believe those earnings would not be as good as it was last year or the year prior as well. So right now, I would just say, definitely during this time where we're going through the quantitative tightening and maybe a possible recession, definitely make sure you get your house in order. Definitely make sure that you're doing what you can do to make sure that your house is in order, making sure that your finances are in order, and making sure that you take care of the four walls of your house, making sure that you have your rent or mortgage paid. That's one. Making sure that your bills are paid. Your utilities, making sure they're paid, making sure that you have food in the house, and making sure that you have transportation as well. If you can take care of those four walls, those four aspects, and make sure that you're good in that way, that's awesome. And also, I mentioned before, making sure that you try to, if you are kind of on middle ground right now as far as your finances, try to find ways to increase your skills. Try to find ways that you can be able to increase your skills so you can make more money, because skills equals money essentially. And if you are a person who has this one income, one income is too close to zero. So making sure that you hone in on those skills, focus on what you can do good. Think about the skills that you do. Think about something that you naturally are good at, and try to use that to be able to offer value and be able to add some income to your home. So I just wanted to talk about that for a few moments. I hope this gave you some insight on what's going on, and I also hope the advice was helpful as far as helping you, guide you to doing some things different in the future. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and comment as well. Let me know what you're thinking as well. So talk to you guys soon. Peace.